Hi, I'm Jay.
And I'm John.
And we're Bucket List Travellers.
And in this video, we'll be sharing our top 10 surprising things about Costa Rica based on our Costa Rica first impressions. We arrived in Costa Rica in August 2021, after travelling throughout Central America and living in Nicaragua for 18 months due to the COVID pandemic. We're now planning to travel through Costa Rica for 90 days, and we'll be sharing plenty of Costa Rica travel vlogs on our channel. After first crossing the land border from Nicaragua at San Pancho, we visited the border town of Los Chiles, Ciudad de Quesada, the popular tourist town of La Fortuna, the mountains of Monteverde, and the capital city of San Jose. So with that in mind, here is our list of 10 surprising things about Costa Rica.
One surprising thing about Costa Rica is that it's so expensive.
Yeah, so we knew that Costa Rica was going to be expensive, but we weren't quite prepared for how expensive it is. We're in a cafe in Monteverde at the moment, and we're finding that cafe prices are definitely the most expensive that we've seen so far in Central America, and they're getting towards the prices that you'd expect to pay in the US or in Australia.
If you want to try and keep the costs down when eating out, we recommend you go to sodas. They're called sodas. They're little local restaurants, and if you get the casados, they're like lunch specials. You can get those for around $5 US. So that's a really handy way of keeping the costs down when you're out.
Yeah, and the casado lunch specials are really nice. You get a full plate of food, including side dishes, usually a meat or a chicken or a fish or a pork. They often come with a drink as well. Very good value, the sodas. Apart from that, a lot of tourist things, a lot of food things are quite expensive.
Yeah, to put it into perspective, the La Fortuna waterfall, which is amazing, costs $18 US to go and see.
Yeah, we almost had a heart attack when we heard that. Coming from Australia, you can go to a lot of major waterfalls for free. So to pay $18 for a waterfall, it's a bit on the steep side. And food shopping, how have you found the food shopping, John?
So there are mainly supermarkets, or biggish supermarkets, and you pay prices up to what you'd see in Australia and the US. In other Central American countries, there are like local markets where you can get cheap fruit and veggies. We haven't really come across any here, so it's mainly just big supermarkets.
We've been to La Fortuna, Monteverde, Ciudad Quesada, which is more of just a city, and a border town, Los Chiles, and we haven't seen any real local markets yet. I think I've seen one, but the prices weren't that cheap.
One thing about traveling in Costa Rica that we found that isn't that expensive as we expected was accommodation.
Yeah, so because Costa Rica is such a popular tourist destination, it does have quite a depth of the market in terms of accommodation options available, and Airbnb is quite prevalent throughout the country. So we have been able to find a few deals. You definitely can pay a lot for resorts and really fancy accommodation, but if you're looking for some cheap Airbnbs, then Costa Rica is not a bad place to come.
Yeah, and you can get Airbnbs like one-bedders, fully contained with kitchens, bathrooms for around $20 US a night or less. One surprising thing about Costa Rica that we love is that tipping is included in the final price of the bill that you get.
Yeah, so you'll find that most places say like service charge is included, so a 10% service charge is included. There's sometimes tipping jars, but you don't have to tip extra because the tip is included in the bill.
Yeah, so what I love is that when you get a menu, the price you see is the price that you're going to pay, and that's such a relief. The last thing you want to do when you're traveling or on holidays is to do mental arithmetic to work out, add on the service charge here, add on the tax, and bang, that's your price. Now, Costa Rica also has an IVA tax on food, but when you're
Which
eating,
is like a goods and service tax.
yes, but that will be built into your price as well, so you don't have to worry about that, and we just love that. As Australians, tipping isn't in our culture, so
And our tax is included in the bill, so
Yep.
yeah, so you don't have to worry, like once you see the price of the menu, that's it.
yeah, it's such a relief, and there's no anxiety about it, and just pay it, you're done.
A very handy thing about Costa Rica is that you can use credit cards almost anywhere. This is also a difference to other Central American countries who are predominantly still cash-based societies outside major cities. It saves you from having to use ATMs as well. If you do need to use an ATM, just do your research on fees, as we found that the ATM fees can be up to $9 US per transaction. Ouch.
But one thing you won't have to spend a lot of money on is drinking water. So most cities and towns in Costa Rica have potable water, which means that you can drink the water straight from the tap. And the taste is really nice, isn't it?
Yeah, it's fantastic. For me, it's one of the best things about Costa Rica. So most countries in Central America don't have potable water where you can just drink water from the tap. That's really useful, and it also saves on buying and storing or throwing away plastic bottles as well. We really hate that. It's just great that we can just use the water just from the tap. And most cafes will provide free water for you as well.
Yeah, and they'll bring it to you without asking, which is really nice. It's great for the environment. It saves you having to lug around too much water because you know that you'll be able to get some tap water pretty easily accessible. So that's definitely a good thing about Costa Rica.
The internet here in Costa Rica is fantastic. We've experienced average speeds here of around 25 megabits per second, with a maximum download speed of 160 megabits per second. Not only is the internet fast here in Costa Rica, but its accessibility is also awesome. What we're most impressed about is that you can go to pretty much any public park in Costa Rica and get free Wi-Fi. We don't even have that in Australia, and we invented Wi-Fi. With all this internet connectivity, it's no surprise that Costa Rica is a haven for digital nomads. And to make things more attractive for digital nomads, the Costa Rican government has just passed on the 1st of September 2021 a law to create a digital nomad visa. So this visa allows you to stay in the country for a year with a 1-year extension. And it also gives you a range of perks that are akin to residency here. It's not quite yet available. We've tried. The government has around 60 days to iron out the details of the visa, so we're expecting it to be fully available around November 2021.
One of the best things about Costa Rica is that it's clean and green.
Yeah, we're in Monteverde, which is a popular tourist destination in Costa Rica at the moment. And you can see behind us a valley below. There's just so much natural beauty throughout Costa Rica, so many hiking trails, so much wildlife and biodiversity. And they really put a focus on sustainability and the environment.
Back in La Fortuna, we were able to go to a salto, a natural river, and just go swimming in it. Now, in other Central American countries, rivers really close to cities would just be full of rubbish. So you just wouldn't be able to do that. But you can in Costa Rica because everything's so clean. Costa Rica has a really big focus on sustainability, so there are recycling programs.
We've seen recycling stations outside major supermarkets. We've seen little shops that have battery recycling drop-off points. There's just so much they're doing to help the environment.
Costa Rica really embodies the Pura Vida lifestyle. Another great thing about Costa Rica is that there's so much wildlife to see everywhere.
And the wildlife doesn't seem to be afraid of you at all. We've gotten so close to animals. I really loved getting close to sloths. I didn't expect to see so many sloths in La Fortuna. We haven't seen any in Monteverde yet, but I'm fingers crossed, we're hoping for it. And birds, there's so many birds, right?
Yeah, we haven't seen the keel-billed toucan yet. That's my bucket list bird. But we've just seen so many other types of birds. Motmots, parrots. We haven't seen quetzals yet, but we're hopeful. And we've even seen armadillos twice in the last 2 days.
One thing we've seen around Costa Rica, which we really like, is the presence of electric car charging stations.
You can find these electric car charging points outside cafes, outside hotels, and it's all part of the Ruta Electrica, a government program designed to lift the infrastructure of electric cars. Car usage in Costa Rica is really high, the highest in Central America. And that's why converting to electric cars is one of the main pillars for the Costa Rican government to fight climate change. One pleasantly surprising thing about bus transport in Costa Rica is that it's so comfortable.
Yeah, so we found that the buses, like the bus here from Monteverde to San Jose, they're quite plush, they're reasonably good condition, and they don't have people standing in the aisle, so it's just one person per seat.
Yeah, so that's another big difference between Costa Rica and other Central American countries. In other Central American countries, everyone just gets jammed in, people are standing, there are people everywhere. But here, there's only room for seats. So that also means that if there's no seats, you don't get on the bus. So our recommendation is make sure you book ahead.
Yeah, so the bus that we were on today, there were quite a few people turned away, which is not a good idea, especially if you've got a connection like a flight the same day. So we'd also recommend not having a flight when you've got a long travel day. So one thing we've noticed about buses in Costa Rica is the network's not as well connected. So a lot of the buses, they might not be as frequent as some other Central American countries where you might have to change buses to get from one place to the next. So this bus from Monteverde to San Jose is only one per day at 5:30 in the morning. And there are no direct buses from like the border at San Pancho to La Fortuna, so you have to change at Ciudad Quesada.
And for the longer trips like this one, you may get a rest stop along the way.
One not so surprising thing about Costa Rica is the usage of masks indoors. The Costa Rican government has put mask mandates in place throughout the pandemic, and it is possible to be fined if you don't comply. Required to wear masks inside shopping centres, inside banks, pretty much any indoor venue, as well as public transport and waiting for public transport. We've also observed that some venues will take your temperature and require you to sanitise your hands. In heavily populated areas like San Jose, you will find that a majority of local people will be wearing masks in the streets. However, as with most countries, there is also a vocal minority who are protesting against these safety measures. We hope you liked this video on the 10 surprises about Costa Rica. If you did, hit that like button. Do you agree with our list? What do you find the most surprising about Costa Rica? Let us know in the comments. If you want more insightful Central America travel videos, then make sure you subscribe.
We are Bucket List Travellers.
See you next time.